I saw my Lord with the eye of my heart. I said, "Who are you?" He said, "You." Where with you has nowhere, and there is nowhere where you are. Illusion with you has no illusion. Can illusion know where you are? You are the one who gathers everywhere to nowhere. So where are you? In my annihilation perished, and in my annihilation I found you. In the effacement of my name and the outline of my form, I asked about me, so I said, "You." It's hard to fully appreciate the beauty and wisdom of Sufi poetry without exploring the works and teachings of its famous martyr, Mansur Al Hallaj. Known by many for his controversial declaration Ana al-Haq, or I am the truth, which is another name for God in Islam, Al-Hallaj has gone on to inspire many seekers and Sufi masters who came after him, including my favorite mystic and poet, Attar. But beyond his infamous statements and ultimately his execution, what was Al-Hallaj really saying? Did he truly believe that he was God? Or, as we see through this poem, did he see his own self or ego as a veil concealing the universal oneness that is God? It's hard to know for sure, but I like to think it's the latter. Mansur Al Hallaj is speaking directly to God in this poem. He recognizes that until he is fully annihilated and emptied of his ego, he cannot truly find God. And what he says in these few short lines is absolutely sublime. Starting with the first line, he says that he saw the beloved with the eye of his heart. This inner eye, or third eye, is a common theme in Sufi poetry, and hits home the fact that we can't necessarily see or experience God through our two human eyes. In fact, we can't enter his presence at all with any of our five senses, not even our minds. Rather, God is felt in our heart, our soul, away from all the impressions and distractions of the material world. We are all walking with this incredible treasure inside us, and yet we search the corners of the world hoping to find God. And what we learn in this next line just shatters everything we thought we knew. When you are so deeply connected to the beloved as Al-Hallaj was, you feel as if your own personal self is insignificant, that who you truly are is a reflection of God, so much so that your name, body, and sense of identity don't matter anymore. When you reach this state, anytime you ask the beloved who he is, he simply responds, "He is you." This non-duality or oneness is not just common in Sufism, but also in many other spiritual traditions and walks of life, such as Buddhism. It's something that isn't easily understood by the mind, and there's a reason for that. The mind is not equipped to understand what it can't see, hear, or argue with reason. There's no surprise then that the heart is the center of love, peace, and compassion, not the mind. And if you identify more with your mind than with your heart, then you will likely continue falling into the traps of the ego and miss seeing God even though he is right in front of you. To see with the heart means to be gentle, loving, and humble enough to allow God's presence to move through you. If you are hard-headed, egotistical, or defensive, then you will never experience this divine union. even though you might read, talk, or hear about God. The ego might tempt you to brush over these words and pass it off as elaborate poetry or even complete lunacy. Indeed, a lot of mystics, seekers, and lovers have sadly faced extreme oppression and even death in the hands of a society that doesn't understand the true meaning of love. These ignorant and ego-driven individuals might read a poem like this and declare Al Hallaj a madman. But that's because they've never felt the true pull and mystery of divine love. Even the smartest people in the world all of a sudden lose it when they come face to face with their beloved. They no longer have a sense of where, as Al Hallaj describes it, no longer living in this illusion. Instead, they are absolutely speechless, humbled, and full of wonder. In fact, I always remember a beautiful line by Yunus Emre when imagining this annihilating state. He said, "I tried to make sense of the 4 books until love arrived and it all became a single syllable." In other words, Yunus Emre had so much to learn about religion, about God, and the right and wrong way of doing things, but in the end, one deep and powerful experience with God showed him how little he knew and how worthless a lifelong pursuit of knowledge can be if done without cultivating the heart. The smarter Yunus became, the harder his heart turned, until he was completely full of ego and blind to the secrets of God. Indeed, to think that the ego is everything is the greatest illusion in life, and the sole reason why we feel like we can't connect with God or cultivate the peace and love that is inside us. But it's all there. We just have to overcome our ego. Whether we conquer it, as Rumi would say, or completely annihilate it, as Attar would say, the point is still the same. As long as you are in love with the person you think you are, you will never know the feeling of loving the beloved, and in turn, what that feeling can do for you. Now, this all sounds great, but you might be wondering, how do I get there? And the answer is simple. Listen to your heart. Quiet your mind. Don't judge people or be jealous of them. Let go of your arrogance and pride. Trust God more and know that He knows best. And always be humble and loving towards everything and everyone in life. When you start doing these things, you will see God with the eye of your heart. When you surrender your name and body to this mystical annihilation, you will see God as yourself. It's as if God is the music playing through the flute that is our soul. If we put rocks inside that flute, that is, if we cover our soul with our ego, then we can never hear that music played. We must slowly remove the rocks from that flute in order to hear and be carried away by the beloved's voice. As Al Hallaj himself said, "There is nothing in my cloak but God." There is no body inside your clothes. There's just God. Reflect on that. Act upon that. And you'll see God like you've never seen Him before. And with that, I thank you for watching this video and taking the time to really dive into this incredibly deep poem. If you enjoyed this, then I highly encourage you to check out some of the other videos on this channel, which for the most part hit on the same theme of connecting with God and ultimately achieving the peace and love that we're all after. Make sure to hit that subscribe and notifications button so you don't miss out on any of the new videos that keep coming out every week, and keep working on removing those rocks from your flute. Let the voice of God play through you and inspire you with endless peace and love.